Hi, guys, and welcome to today's episode. Have you ever felt almost impossible to trust somebody, even when they've not done anything wrong? Maybe you overthink every message. Maybe you're just waiting for people to leave. Maybe you feel really guilty because somebody says to you, "Why don't you trust me?" The truth is, you didn't learn to mistrust by accident. If you've spent years being in abusive relationships or abusive environments, your mind has just adapted to that, and it's actually a survival strategy. And guess what? Survival skills don't just go overnight. So in this video today, we're going to talk about why trust is so hard to overcome whenever you've been through years of abuse. We're also going to talk about how to be kinder to yourself when you react to those situations. And something else which a lot of people don't talk about, but how the other person can try and understand where you're coming from without taking your trust issues as a personal attack. Because rebuilding your trust isn't just on you. Healthy people in your life will meet you at the point that you're at. They will help rebuild that trust in your life. And they'll at least meet you halfway. When someone has lived through years and years of abuse, your nervous system has learned to stay in fight or flight, in that survival mode. It's a way of protecting you. You learn patterns like expecting anger, expecting to be betrayed, worrying that if you ask for anything, it comes at a cost. Kindness normally means they want something out of you. And maybe even expecting abandonment. If I speak up, they're going to walk out. Your brain will start asking you questions like, what do they really want? How long is it going to be before they turn on me? When's their mood going to change? Or when am I going to get punished for something? And this is not paranoia. This is just something that you've been used to. So it's like a recognition that you've been used to for a long period of time. And at one point, your nervous system probably realized that closeness meant that you were in danger. And unfortunately, when someone kind enters your life, that doesn't just switch off just because you know they're a good person. Your nervous system will scan. It will wait and observe. Sometimes it'll even test. And not because you want to distrust the person. If anything, it's the opposite. It's because your mind at one point learned that trusting meant punishment. It meant consequences. And at the end of the day, that matters. And I just want to say, you are not broken. You just need to reteach your nervous system how to handle these situations. I think one of the worst things, or some of the worst things, should I say, that you can say to a survivor are things like, why can't you just move on? You're too guarded. You have serious trust issues. But here's something important. Trust issues aren't a personality trait. They're a consequence of what you've been through. They're not flaws. They're protective adaptations. Because your nervous system done exactly what it needed to do to survive those situations in the past. And you can't just come along now and just say, oh, I'm okay, and it'll just switch off. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It takes time. And unfortunately, you learn to wait for disappointments. You learn to be able to tell when somebody's mood changes. You learn to read the room. You learn to feel energies of somebody. And you learn to anticipate conflicts. Those skills kept you safe. And the problem isn't that you developed those skills. The problem is your nervous system is still using those survival skills, even if you're in a safer environment. And changing those rules takes time. You have to rewire your nervous system. I do have a video talking about this, which is called Get Out of Survival Mode. So if you want to check that out, I go into a lot more detail in that video about how to do it. But if you find yourself constantly overthinking, overanalyzing, waiting for bad things to happen, the high chance is that you are in fight or flight mode. Maybe you self-sabotage a little bit as well. You pull away when things are going really well in your life because deeply rooted somewhere, you don't feel like you deserve it. And you do deserve it. I just want to say, like, you do deserve it. It's not, unfortunately, your brain has just got so used to the abusive cycles that you were in, and it's hard for it to understand that you know, things have changed now. Maybe you're one of these people that need constant reassurance, and again, that's not a bad thing. Somebody healthy in your life will meet you halfway and will understand why that is the case. And you're not broken. You're not broken at all. You're healing. And healing isn't always plain sailing. Healing can be very messy. This is where you need to try and be kinder to yourself as well. A lot of survivors carry not just the abuse, but the shame of how they handled things after the abuse have stopped. You know, they might think that I'm too much. You might ask yourself, like, why am I like this? I exhaust people. I'm too much to handle. I'm too high maintenance. Or even worse, they tell themselves, I should be over this by now. But could you imagine saying those things to a child that has gone through years of instability? Could you imagine saying that to your best friend? Probably not. What I actually think you'd say is things like, you've done what you needed to do to survive. You're stronger than you think. Being compassionate to yourself isn't about pretending that it never happened. It's recognizing that healing takes patience. Healing takes time, and you have to be patient with yourself. Now, there are ways that you can slowly bring yourself out of this, and that would be things like, for example, asking for reassurance instead of saying that you're okay all the time. Noticing what it is that triggers you, and maybe trying to explain your feelings rather than just shutting down and shutting people out. And these might seem like really little things, but they are massive steps. Because every time you respond to yourself with kindness rather than negativity, you're rewiring your brain. So each time you do it, it's reaffirming to yourself that it's okay. I'm allowed to feel like this. At the end of the day, you're teaching your nervous system that you are safe now. And that can take time. But all these little steps at a time are what's going to eventually get you to a point where you don't have an issue with trusting people. To a point where you don't need the reassurance because you know who you are. You understand where it comes from. And you accept yourself and you're more compassionate with yourself because of it. And trusting after abuse doesn't come from words, where anybody can say anything. Your brain does not trust words. What it trusts is consistency. Somebody always showing up when you need it. A pattern, that is what your brain needs, is the pattern, not words. So people need to meet you with actions rather than false promises. You know, someone will probably say to you, I'm always here for you. And automatically your brain will be, yeah, we'll see. And that's not unfair. Your brain just needs time to see these patterns and realize that they are consistent. They did mean what they said. Trust will be rebuilt through certain things like realizing you can have a disagreement without it turning into abuse, without turning into a conflict, without them walking out on you. It can be somebody respecting your boundaries. Someone who allows you to be vulnerable and doesn't punish you for being vulnerable. And somebody that proves things with actions, not just words. Now, this could be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be a lover, it could be anybody in your life. But having that one person that is constant and consistent with you is going to help rewire your nervous system in ways that words can't. And these moments will slowly teach your nervous system something new. It will teach safety. It'll teach you that not every relationship follows the same painful script that you've been used to over and over again. But this is something that takes repetition. It's like you wouldn't go to the gym and go, oh, that's it. That's my that's my training for the day. You have to keep doing it to build up that muscle. It's exactly the same with your nervous system. You have to build that muscle. You have to have repetition. Keep saying these things to yourself. Keep reaffirming to yourself. And it could take weeks. It could take months. It could even take years. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but it could. And that's okay, because real trust happens slowly. It's gradual. It's not something that comes overnight. But when it does come, it's strong. It's a sense of pride. It's worth it. Now, let's talk about this from another point of view, because people often misunderstand trust issues. Someone might say, well, why don't you trust me? I've never done anything wrong. And from their perspective, that's true. But trust issues are not just about one person. It's about the history that shaped your nervous system into believing that distrust should be there. If somebody cares about somebody that's been through an abusive past, first of all, they should be able to understand that it's not personal. It's not about them. They need to understand that you are on a healing journey. That if you need reassurance, it doesn't make you a bad person. If you don't open up, it doesn't mean that you don't value that person either. It means that your brain is still learning that safety exists. And healthy support looks like patience instead of pressure, consistency instead of big grand promises, and curiosity instead of defensiveness. Instead of saying to somebody, why don't you trust me? Why don't you change the narrative a little bit to something more like, what can I do to help you feel safer? That question changes everything, because healing really starts when somebody doesn't feel judged. And healing really starts when you find somebody that wants to understand you. So like I said, trust isn't something for one person alone. Trust is something that comes by building healthy relationships with the people around you. And if somebody's healing from abuse, let them be honest with you and tell you about their triggers. Let them explain to you when they're feeling overwhelmed. And if you are healing from abuse, my best advice to you is take little steps instead of trying to rush to the finish line. Closeness comes slowly, just like trust comes slowly. Take your time. Take your time with yourself. Take your time with your relationships. Take your time with your healing. You owe yourself that much, if nothing else. And if you're a person there trying to support somebody that is healing after abuse, you need to show up constantly for them. You need to be able to listen to them without taking it as a personal insult. You need to understand that their progress isn't start to finish. It's up and down, it's back and forth. It's a big circle sometimes. Just be patient with them. Remember that some days it could be really easy for them. Other days it can feel like living a nightmare. But by being patient and understanding, something incredible happens. Their brain starts to rewrite that script. And instead of being fearful and untrusting, they feel connected, they feel supported, they feel loved, and they feel understood. And slowly but surely, safety stops feeling unfamiliar to them. So if you struggle with trusting somebody after years and years of abuse, I want you to hear this. You are not difficult. You are not broken. You are somebody whose mind had to learn how to survive. And survival skills take time to soften. Healing isn't forcing yourself to try and trust faster. It's about finding people who respect your pace, people that understand that gaining your trust is earned through practice, patience, and consistency. And if somebody truly values you, they won't be offended by your healing process. They'll walk beside you rather than in front of you, one step, slowly at a time. If this video resonated with you, you are not alone. And if you're somebody who's trying to support somebody who is trying their hardest to learn how to trust, your patience is going to mean more to them than you will ever know. Because sometimes the most healing thing somebody can ever go through is realizing that somebody is going to stay, even if trust takes time. Thank you guys. If you got to the end of this video, please leave a heart in the comments so I know. And also check out my other videos. I will be adding the link to my video about rewiring your nervous system, which you might find interesting. But lots of love. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will catch you again soon. Thank you so much.